Alara Vesper thought love was over for her at 50. She had lived a quiet life for years, feeling invisible to the world, but everything was about to change in just 17 minutes. In 17 minutes, someone would knock on her door and her life would never be the same. She was wearing flannel pajamas, no makeup, tired and a little annoyed. She was ready to meet some middle-aged businessman who probably had a family, but instead, a young man would be standing in her driveway. He was 31 years old, just 6 years older than the son she had lost at birth. Their hands would touch for only a second, but that second would change everything. 3 months later, a picture of them would go viral online. People would call Alara a predator. Kalen, the young man, would get fired from his job, and Alara would have to make a choice: push him away to protect him, or fight for a love that no one would understand but them. But right now, Alara had other things on her mind. She put on her jacket, grabbed her toolbox, and walked toward a call she got at 2 a.m. This call could either save her or destroy the life she had worked 3 years to build. And honestly, she had no idea which one it would be. Neither did anyone, but soon it would all be revealed. Alara Vesper knew what a broken heart felt like. It didn't scream or cry. It was quiet, like a door closing softly in an empty house. She first felt it 3 years ago at her husband's funeral. She stood in a black dress that had cost too much, listening to people say kind words she couldn't remember. She felt it again 6 months later when the bank took her wedding planning business. 23 years of planning perfect weddings were gone in one afternoon. Now, at 53, she lived above a little bookshop cafe in a coastal town. Tourists came to take pictures of lighthouses, and locals came to gossip about other people's marriages. Alara wore reading glasses on a chain, just like her grandmother had. She made coffee that was always too hot and recommended books to people who rarely came back. She had accepted her small, quiet life. That's what she told herself every morning when she looked in the mirror, seeing a woman the world had stopped noticing. It was 1:47 a.m. on a Tuesday in October when the phone rang. Alara had been dreaming about the son she never got to hold. She had painted his nursery blue before the stillbirth 25 years ago. Sometimes she still dreamed about him, what his voice would have sounded like, whether he would have liked books or baseball, and if he would have forgiven her for everything she would have done wrong. Her phone vibrated. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but property management paid her bills when the bookshop didn't, so she picked it up. Hello? Her voice was thick with sleep. Is this Alara Vesper? Asked a young, stressed man. Yes. Who is this? I'm at the cottage on Beacon Road. The key doesn't work. I've been driving for 8 hours. I'm sorry to call this late. Slow down. Which property? The gray cottage, Ocean View. I rented it for a month through Road's booking. Alara checked her phone. You weren't supposed to arrive until Thursday. I know. I needed to get out of the city early. I thought it would be fine, but the lockbox code isn't working. Alara closed her eyes. The owner had changed the locks last week after a break-in scare. She had meant to update the system, fix the water heater, repaint the shutters, and return her sister's calls, but she hadn't done it. Give me 20 minutes, she said. She pulled on jeans and a flannel shirt that smelled like coffee and old books. Makeup? Who was she trying to impress? A businessman who probably wouldn't even notice her? The cottage was at the end of a gravel road, the ocean crashing in the dark. A black Tesla sat crooked in the driveway, like the driver had given up. Alara grabbed her toolbox and walked up to the porch. The man there was not what she expected. He was young, painfully young, maybe 30 or less. Tall, lean, wearing an expensive jacket that looked wrong with the old cottage. Dark hair fell into his eyes. He looked like someone from a magazine about successful young CEOs. But now he looked exhausted. Mr. Rhodes? She asked. Kalen, please, he said, trying to smile, but it failed. I'm so sorry about this. I know it's late. Let me look at the lock. she said. She crouched down and pulled out her tools. The lock was jammed. Probably someone had tried the old code. You didn't have to come out, he said softly. I could have slept in the car, she teased. You'd freeze in October in Maine. He smiled faintly. She worked in silence, aware of him standing too close, watching her hands. The lock clicked. She handed him the new key. Water heater is temperamental. Shower pressure is weak. Thermostat sticks. Coffee maker's old but works if you're patient. Their fingers brushed for a second. Just a small touch, but Alara felt it deep in her stomach, a flutter she hadn't felt since her husband died. She stepped back quickly. Call if you need anything, she said. Thank you, Alara, he said, as if her name meant something. She walked back to her truck, hands shaking. 53 years old, and her heart was doing silly things over a boy who probably called women her age ma'am. That night, she didn't dream about her dead son. She dreamed about brown eyes and a touch that lasted half a second too long. The next afternoon, Alara was alphabetizing the poetry section, a task she had been avoiding for months. The shop was quiet, except for Mrs. Winthrop, who came every Wednesday to read magazines without buying them. Her phone buzzed. Same unknown number. Kalen. The water heater is broken, he said, embarrassed. I tried everything. YouTube, the manual, prayer, nothing works. Alara closed her eyes. I'll come by. Give me an hour. She hung up and looked at her reflection. Gray roots, crow's feet, a shirt with a coffee stain she hadn't noticed. Ridiculous. She was a middle-aged woman fixing broken things for money, and he was a client. The cottage looked different in daylight, less lonely. The ocean stretched out behind it like a promise or a warning, depending on your mood. Kalen opened the door before she knocked. He wore sweatpants and a t-shirt that said TechCrunch Disrupt 2023. His hair was wet, dripping on his shoulders. No shoes. You took a cold shower, Alara said. 3 of them. If I'm going to suffer, might as well commit. She almost smiled. Show me the heater. The basement was small and smelled like mildew. Alara knelt by the old water heater, flashlight in hand. Kalen crouched next to her, too close. She could smell his expensive shampoo. Pilot lights out, she said. Happens when it gets cold. Can you fix it? He asked. Can you hand me the wrench? They worked silently. Buzz. Their shoulders touched in the tight space. Alara talked him through relighting the pilot light. You're good at this, he said quietly, fixing broken things. Lots of practice, she said. Not an interesting story. The small blue flame came alive. There, she said. Give it 20 minutes. She stood too fast. You okay? 53-year-old knees, she said, joking bitterly. Kalen reached out and steadied her. Thank you, he said, for last night, for not making me feel like an idiot. You're not an idiot. Just, she stopped. Why are you here in this town? You're clearly from somewhere else. He looked away. I had a panic attack on stage at a conference. 5,000 people watching. Someone filmed it. Went viral. Tech CEO meltdown. My therapist said I needed to disappear. My board said I needed to fix my image. I just needed to stop. Alara watched him. Really watched him. The shadows under his eyes, the tremble in his hands, the tension in his jaw. So, you came to Maine? She asked. I threw a dart at a map. Not literally, but close, he said. He laughed, but it sounded empty. I've spent my life building and growing companies. I'm 31 and I don't remember the last time I did something just for me or felt anything real. The confession hung between them, too personal for 2 people who had known each other less than a day. Alara turned to the stairs. Water should be hot soon. Wait. He stopped her, pointing at the toolkit. There was a worn book inside. Neruda, she said. Love poems. You read poetry while fixing water heaters? I read poetry everywhere. It keeps me human when everything else tries to make you forget. Something changed in his expression. Can you recommend something? I haven't read anything that wasn't a business report in 5 years. Alara hesitated. Lending books was personal, but something in the way he asked made her reach into the toolkit and hand him the book. Return it when you're done. These pages are friends. I'll know if you damage them. His fingers brushed hers. That same electric touch from last night. I'll be careful, he promised. On Saturday morning, Kalen came to the bookshop holding the Nuda book carefully, like it was made of glass. Alara was behind the counter, grinding coffee beans when the doorbell rang. She looked up and there he was. Jeans, gray sweater, fancy jacket. He stood in the doorway, looking unsure if he could come in. You read it, Alara said, not as a question. Kalen walked to the counter 3 times, setting the book down carefully. I didn't know words could do that, he said. Make you feel like someone reached inside your chest and named things you didn't have words for. Alara stopped moving. Most people returned books with, it was good, or not really my thing. Nobody talked about poetry like it was important. Kalen looked at her. Which one hit you hardest? He asked softly. I want to do with you what spring does with the cherry trees, he said quietly, from memory. Alara thought about it. When was the last time I bloomed? When was the last time I felt alive enough to bloom? The coffee grinder sat forgotten between them. The shop was empty. Morning sunlight came through the windows, making the dust look like tiny snowflakes. That's the one that breaks me too, Alara whispered. Something passed between them. Recognition. Like meeting someone who spoke your secret language. I want more, Kalen said. Books, poems, whatever you think someone needs when they've forgotten how to be a person. Alara smiled. For the first time in months, it didn't feel like work. I'm very good at being a CEO, she said. Terrible at being human. He wasn't joking. Help me, he said. She studied him. He was young, decades younger, standing in her bookshop asking her to teach him how to feel. Okay, she said, but you have to actually read them. No skimming. Deal? She walked through the shop, pulling books like he was casting spells. Poetry books. A story about a woman who left her life behind to start over. A memoir about a man who gave up everything to build furniture in Vermont. Essays about beauty, grief, and noticing the small things in life. Kalen watched her. He noticed how her hands touched some books more gently than others. You love this, he said. These books saved me when everything else fell apart, Alara said. She handed him the stack. Your turn to let them save you. He took the books. Their fingers brushed again. That same spark. What fell apart? He asked softly. That's not first visit conversation, Alara said. What's second visit conversation? Kalen asked. Come back Tuesday. We'll see, she said. And he did. Tuesday. Thursday. The following Monday. Each time he returned books with real thoughts, not just polite comments. How a poem about loss made him think about his father who died when he was 12. How the Vermont memoir made him wonder if success was just hiding. Alara found herself waiting for him, making sure she wore her favorite jeans, taking off her reading glasses when the bell chimed. Stop it, she told herself. He's young enough to be your son. You're old enough to know better. But knowing better didn't stop her heart from feeling wrong and wonderful all at once. It was raining on Wednesday afternoon when everything changed. The shop was empty. Kalen sat at the corner table reading. Alara brought him coffee without asking, the way he liked it, black with 1 sugar. Why did you stop planning weddings? He asked, not looking up. The question hit her hard. Life happened, she said. That wasn't a real answer. She turned to leave. His hand caught her wrist. Gentle, enough to stop her. Why do you have a panic attack on stage in front of 5,000 people? Alara shot back. Kalen smiled sadly. I was living someone else's idea of success. Built a company everyone said I should build, made money everyone said I should want, dated women who looked good in photos, said the right things at conferences, and one day I realized I didn't believe any of it. I'm a hologram, and then I couldn't breathe. The rain pounded on the windows. Alara sat down across from him. For reasons she couldn't name, she told him about her husband, Julian. Good man. Kind. But friends, not lovers. A marriage built on friendship, not passion. How she made a wedding empire, creating fairy tales for others while pretending her life was enough. How she tried to have a baby at 28. The blue nursery, baby names written in a journal. I went into labor 3 weeks early, and the doctor said, "I'm sorry, there's no heartbeat." Nathaniel, she whispered. We were going to call him Nathaniel. Kaylin's eyes were wet. After that, Alara threw herself into work, making everyone else's days perfect because she couldn't fix her own. Julian got sick with cancer when she was 49. She took care of him for 2 years. She loved him, but when he died, she felt guilty. Mixed with grief was relief. Relief that she didn't have to pretend anymore. Pretend what? Kaylin asked. That I was satisfied, that I'd had my chance at love, and it was enough. That wanting more was selfish, she said, her voice cracking. The pandemic took her business. At 52, she started over, thought her life was small, quiet, done. Done hoping, done wanting. Kaylin reached across the table and took her hand. "You're the most alive person I've ever met," he said. "When you talk about books, about coffee, about why rain sounds different on old roofs, you're awake. Everyone else I know is sleepwalking, including me, until I met you." Something bloomed between them, wild and terrifying. Alara pulled her hand back, stood up. "You should go." "Why?" Kaylin asked. "Because you're 31 and I'm 53. She couldn't finish. "This is what?" he asked. "Impossible," she whispered. "Look at me, Alara." "Really?" Kaylin stepped closer. "I've been careful my whole life, strategic, optimizing everything, never felt more dead inside. Then I met you, and for the first time since my dad died, I feel awake." Alara shook her head. "I can't give you what you need. A future, children, someone who—" "Stop," he said gently but firmly. "Stop deciding for me what I need. Stop telling me what I feel. I'm too old? For what? For joy? For connection? For love?" He said the word carefully. "You spent 20 years creating perfect weddings for strangers. Maybe it's time someone created something beautiful for you." The shop was quiet, just rain, breathing, and Alara's heart breaking open. "I'm scared," she whispered. "Me too," he said. "What if? What if nothing? What if we just try?" He was close now, close enough that she could see the gold in his brown eyes, close enough to count his eyelashes, close enough to kiss. "Kaylin, let me take you to dinner. Just dinner. No expectations. No labels. Two people who read the same poetry." Alara thought about her small apartment, her quiet life, her peace with being invisible. She remembered the Nuda line, "I want to do with you what spring does with the cherry trees." "Okay," she breathed. "Just dinner." Kaylin smiled. Full, real, beautiful. Outside, the rain turned to sunlight. Inside, Alara's heart thawed after 3 long years. Dinner turned into 6 weeks of secret happiness. They didn't call it dating, didn't use labels. Kaylin came after the shop closed. They walked the beach, talking about everything and nothing, his childhood in Seattle, her failed novel, why people fear silence, whether the universe cares about us. He kissed her on the fourth walk under the lighthouse, her back against the cold stone. "Is this okay?" he whispered. She pulled him closer instead of answering. That kiss tasted like salt air, possibility, and realizing she wasn't done wanting. She wasn't too old to feel her stomach flip when someone looked at her like she was the only person in the world. They made love for the first time in her apartment above the bookshop, surrounded by books and the smell of coffee. Alara cried afterward, not from regret, but shock. Shock at being touched like she mattered, like her 53-year-old body with stretch marks and scars was something beautiful. Kaylin traced her cesarean scar. "Tell me about him," he said. So she did, about Nathaniel. And Kaylin held her, didn't try to fix it, didn't say empty words, just listened, just loved her story. "Thank you," she whispered. "For what?" "For not treating me like I'm broken." "You're not broken," he said. "You're human. That's rarer than you think." They kept it quiet. Alara was afraid of judgment from the town, from his world, from the voice in her head. This is temporary. He'll wake up. You're not enough. But with him, she felt alive, really alive. She laughed at his bad jokes. He taught her about AI and technology. She taught him how to bake bread. They read poetry aloud. He fell asleep with his head in her lap while she played with his hair. She stopped seeing the age difference. She just saw Kalen. Brilliant, wounded, real. Then the photo happened. At the beach at sunset, Kalen grabbed her hand, spun her around, kissed her while she laughed. A tourist took the picture. Alara's gray hair shone in the light, Kalen's arms around her waist. By morning, it was everywhere. Tech CEO Kalen Rhodes's mystery romance with an older woman. After a hard time in his life, Rhodes, who was 31, started dating a woman in her 50s named Alara. People on the internet were very mean. They zoomed in on Alara's wrinkles, compared her to Rhodes's ex-girlfriend, who was 26, very pretty, and had 1 million followers. They wrote articles about their age difference and power, made jokes, memes, and cruel comments pretending to care. Some said she looked like his mom. Others said she was just after his money. People thought Rhodes was having a mental health problem. Alara's little bookshop became a busy, noisy place. People came from far away just to stare, whisper, and take pictures. Some older women were kind and said, "Good for you." But most were just curious, treating Alara and Rhodes's love like a show. Rhodes's phone never stopped ringing. His work investors and PR teams called him. "This is hurting your company. End it quietly or make a statement to protect yourself," they said. But Rhodes refused. He went on Twitter and said, "Alara Vesper is smart, kind, and the best thing that ever happened to me. If you don't like our relationship, think about your own biases about age and women." Instead of helping, this made things worse. Alara became the person everyone blamed. Rhodes's company stock went down. Big investors left. Headlines said he was unstable. Alara watched him lose everything because of her. One Tuesday night, Alara finally broke. Rhodes was at her apartment, cooking dinner, humming songs she didn't know. He looked happy, really happy. And Alara thought, "I'm ruining his life. We need to talk." Her voice shook. "Rhodes, look what this is costing you. Your reputation, your company, your future. I can't watch this. I love you too much. You're 31. You have many years ahead. I can't let you ruin your life for me." Rhodes's face fell. "That never meant anything good." "No, you listen," Alara said. "I've spent my whole life making happy endings for other people. I know how stories work. Ours won't end well. You'll regret it. You'll wake up at 40 and realize you spent your 30s with a woman too scared to be with you in public, who let the world make you small." "That's not true," he said. "Go back to San Francisco. Find someone your age. Get married. Have kids. Be happy." Without her, his eyes looked desperate. "You want me to be happy without you?" he whispered. "I'm asking you to have a future," she said. Rhodes's face fell apart. "So you're deciding for both of us again," he said quietly. "You're protecting me from my own choices. You're so scared of getting hurt that you choose loneliness." "I'm choosing what's best for you," she said. "No, you're choosing what's safe for you. You're ending it before life can, before we can be happy." Rhodes's voice broke. "I love you. Wrinkles, scars, gray hair, all of it. I love waking up with you, reading with you, listening to your thoughts. I love you." Alara cried. "It's not enough," she said. "What's not enough?" he asked. "My love, my choice, what I want. I can't let you sacrifice everything for me." "It's not sacrifice if it's a choice," he said. "You're the one sacrificing," she said. "You think you don't deserve love. You spent 53 years being told women stop being loved after a certain age. That wanting love is wrong. Stop. You told me to stop letting others decide what I need. Now I'm telling you, stop letting shame decide your life." They stood in her small kitchen. The dinner was burning on the stove. "Please leave," Alara whispered. "If that's what you really want," Rhodes said. "It is," she nodded. He grabbed his jacket. "For what it's worth," he said, voice broken, "loving you was the most real thing I ever did. I don't regret a second. I just wish you believed you deserved it." The door closed. Alara sank to the floor, crying hard, ugly sobs from deep inside her. She buried every disappointment, every loss, every time she told herself wanting more was wrong. She did the right thing. She was selfless. but it felt like dying. 3 months passed. Alara went through the motions. She opened her shop, sold books, made coffee, smiled at customers. At night, she lay in the bed where Rhodes used to sleep and tried to remember how to breathe. The town stopped staring. Tourists moved on. Life went back to quiet. She should have felt relief. She felt empty. Fern, a 68-year-old librarian, finally spoke to her over coffee. "You look terrible." "Thanks," Alara said. "You did the noble thing. You pushed him away to save him. Very romantic. Very stupid." Alara's head snapped up. "Excuse me? You didn't protect him. You punished yourself for daring to be happy. If you let yourself love him and he left, it would hurt, so you controlled the ending. Safe, tidy, miserable." "I'm too old for what?" Alara asked. "For love," Fern said. "My mother met her soulmate at 73. My sister's wife is 20 years younger. Age is just a number. Fear is the prison. You're not protecting him. You're protecting yourself from thinking you matter, that you're worth loving." The words cracked something open in Alara's chest. "What if he's moved on?" she whispered. "What if he's miserable in San Francisco because I decided I knew better what he should want?" Fern grabbed her hand. "Stop planning other people's happy endings. Start fighting for your own." 3 days later, Alara bought a plane ticket to San Francisco. Her hands shook while booking the flight, packing, closing her shop early. She almost turned back 17 times. At the airport, she worried, what if he's moved on? What if he hates me? What if I humiliate myself? But a louder voice, the voice of the Alara she used to be, said, "What if he's waiting?" She got on the plane. Rhodes's apartment building had a doorman and expensive art in the lobby. Alara felt like she didn't belong. She almost left. But she thought about all her dreams, the ones she had buried. She walked inside. "Can I help you?" the doorman asked. "I'm here to see Kaylin Rhodes," she said. "I'm sorry, ma'am. I can't give out resident information. You can leave a message." Alara turned. Kaylin was standing by the elevators with grocery bags. He looked like he had aged 10 years in 3 months. Thinner, tired, dark circles under his eyes. He stared at her like a ghost. "What are you doing here?" His voice was careful, guarded. "I need to talk to you. Somewhere private," she said. He hesitated. "Okay." His apartment was cold but beautiful. Big windows looked over the city. Furniture was minimalist, expensive, and empty. He put down the groceries and stood there, arms crossed. "I'm listening," he said. Alara's rehearsed speech vanished. She felt like exactly what the internet had called her, a middle-aged woman who didn't belong. "I was wrong," she said. Rhodes waited. "I thought I was protecting you, letting you go so you could have the life you deserved. But I wasn't protecting you. I was protecting myself from the terrifying thought that I deserve love, that I matter, that wanting more isn't selfish." Rhodes didn't change expression. Alara's words tumbled out, messy and desperate. "I'm 53. I have gray hair. I'm done apologizing for my knees cracking. I fall asleep at 9 p.m. I'll age faster than you. People will always stare, always judge. Your family might hate me. Society might say you're broken or I'm greedy or both. It will be hard, but I love you, and I'm done protecting you from your own choices. If you want me, the real me, wrinkles and baggage and all my trauma, I'm here. If you've moved on, I understand. But I had to tell you, I choose you. I choose us. I choose messy, complicated, imperfect love. I want to be seen, and you see me." Her voice broke. "You saw me when I forgot I was worth seeing." The silence stretched. "You broke me," Kaylin said quietly. "I know," Alara whispered. "Let me finish. I came back to San Francisco, did the right things, apologized to investors, took meetings, smiled for photos. Every morning I woke up forgetting for a second that you weren't there. Then I remembered, and it felt like drowning." Alara's chest tightened. "I deleted your number so I wouldn't call you at 3 a.m. I threw away your recommended books because seeing them hurt. I tried to date someone for 2 weeks. She wasn't you. Nobody's you. Kaylin, I'm not done." He stepped closer. "You made a choice for both of us, decided you knew better. Yeah, the internet was cruel. Yeah, I lost investors. Yeah, the board fired me 2 months ago for reputational damage and unstable behavior. Alara covered her mouth with her hand. Oh God, she whispered. This is the best thing that ever happened to me, Kalen said. Suddenly, he was smiling through tears. It made me understand what I really want, not what I was supposed to want, not what looks good, but what I truly want. He stepped closer to her and held her face in his hands. I want morning coffee and little arguments about poems. I want someone who can fix water heaters and reads poetry like prayers. I want gray hair and wisdom. I want a woman who is brave enough to start over at 52. I want you, Alara. Messy, scared, 53-year-old you. I want all of it. Alara started crying. I'm still scared. Me too, Kalen said, but I'm more scared of living without you, of being safe, of playing it smart. He pressed his forehead to hers. I love you. Past tense, present tense, future tense. I love you. I love you too. Alara whispered. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Kalen kissed her deeply like he was coming home after being lost for years. She tasted her own tears, his tears, and all the loneliness of the last 3 months. It all melted away in that one moment. When they pulled apart, Kalen smiled. You flew all the way here. I was scared the whole time. You hate flying, Alara reminded him. I hate losing you more, he said and laughed. He pulled her close. She buried her face in his chest and breathed in his smell, soap, coffee, and that fancy shampoo she had missed so much it hurt. Come back with me, she said. To Maine, the bookshop, the ocean, come home. Kalen shook his head and smiled. I'm already home. Wherever you are, I'm home. That's so cheesy, she said. You love it, he replied. She laughed. God help me, I do. They talked for hours about the last 3 months, about fear, about getting older, about love that doesn't make sense on paper but makes perfect sense in your heart. I'm starting something new, Kalen said. They were sitting on his couch, Alara tucked under his arm. I want to help people over 50 start businesses. People like you, Alara, people who had one life and are brave enough to build another. That's beautiful. I'm doing it from Maine. I even bought a building on Main Street. Needs some fixing up. You bought a building? Alara asked. He looked a little embarrassed. 2 months ago, I was coming back whether you wanted me to or not. I thought I'd wear you down eventually. Alara laughed, really laughed. The sound filled the apartment like sunshine. You're ridiculous. You're stuck with me now. Promise? Kalen asked. Promise, she said. They kissed softly, slowly, full of every tomorrow they thought they had lost. Outside, San Francisco sparkled. Inside, two people who had found each other at the wrong time held on like their lives depended on it. Because maybe they did. Alara stood in her bookshop, now bigger with tall windows that let in the sunset. The event space was full. 30 people had come for the weekly poetry reading. Tonight, Alara was reading her own work for the first time in 30 years. Her hands shook as she held the paper. Kalen sat in the front row wearing the sweater she had bought him for his 33rd birthday. He caught her eye and mouthed, You've got this. Alara took a deep breath and began. I thought I was finished at 52. Thought my story was over. Thought women became invisible, that wanting more was embarrassing, that hope was something you only watched through bookshop windows. Her voice started to shake. A broken lock at 2 a.m., cold hands on a door frame, a touch that lasted a little too long, and suddenly, impossibly, spring came in October. The room was quiet. They said I was too old to bloom again, that love after 50 should be safe, sensible, and small. They were wrong. Spring doesn't check your birthday. Love doesn't ask for permission. And real blooming happens when you are brave enough to open the seed inside you, no matter how long it's been hidden, no matter how many winters you survived. Alara folded the paper. The room clapped, but all she could see was Kalen, tears streaming down his face, clapping and looking at her like she hung the moon. After the reading, they walked on their beach, the same beach where a tourist once photographed them, and changed everything. Your poem was beautiful, Kaylin said, holding her hand. It was terrifying. You were terrifying in the best way, Alara said. He stopped walking and looked at her. I'm proud of you for writing again, for sharing your work, for being brave. I learned from the best, she said. The waves crashed and the lighthouse beams shone on the water. They had walked this beach hundreds of times. Summer, autumn, winter, and spring taught them about holding on, letting go, and choosing each other every day. Your mom called today, Alara said carefully. Kaylin tensed. His family had been complicated. His mother had said terrible things about Alara. She had called Alara a predator and accused her of taking advantage of Kaylin. They hadn't spoken in over a year. What did she say? Alara asked. She wants to visit. Meet me properly. She apologized, Kaylin said. She was wrong. She can see how happy you make me, and that's what matters. Do you want to meet her? Alara asked. Only if you're comfortable, he said. I'm asking what you want. I can handle your mom, Alara said. I handled the internet. I handled losing my business, my husband, and my son. I can handle one protective mother who loves her kid. When did you get so brave? Kaylin asked. About the time a boy showed up at 2 a.m. with a broken lock and reminded me I was still alive. He kissed her. Electricity. Butterflies. Perfect. Real. I love you, he said. I love you too, she said. They walked home to Alara's apartment above the bookshop, slowly becoming their home, filled with his tech gadgets and her books, his fancy coffee machine and her thrifted furniture. Proof that two different lives could merge into something beautiful. That night, lying in bed, Alara thought about all the versions of herself. The young bride who wanted more, the grieving mother, the widow who thought her story was over, the 52-year-old woman who had made peace with being invisible, and now the 54-year-old woman, gray-haired with crow's feet, hopelessly in love with a 33-year-old man who truly saw her and chose her anyway. What are you thinking about? Kaylin asked, half asleep, his arm across her waist. Cherry trees, Alara said. And poetry. Always poetry. I was wrong that day, she said, when I said I was done hoping, done wanting, done blooming. Yeah? Kaylin asked. Yeah, Alara said. Blooming isn't just one time. You choose it every season, every morning, every moment. Wanting more isn't selfish. It's human. Kaylin smiled, eyes closed, pulling her close. Tell me again, he murmured. Tell you what? She asked. That you love me. That never gets old, he said. Alara laughed softly and kissed his forehead, nose, and lips. I love you, past tense, present tense, future tense. I love you in ways I didn't know I could still feel. I love you enough to be brave, to be seen, to believe I deserve this. You do, he whispered. You always did. Outside, the ocean kept its ancient rhythm. Inside, two people who found each other at the wrong time slept tangled together. Love doesn't care about rules, age, public opinion, or what makes sense on paper. It only cares about this. Two people brave enough to choose each other, bloom together, and write new chapters when everyone said the book was closed. That night, Alara dreamed of cherry trees in October, of impossible springs, of second chances that arrive at 2 a.m. with broken locks, broken hearts, and the chance to heal.